So if you ever find yourself at the Grand Ashbury, and they offer you room 616, don't laugh, because the room always laughs last. The Grand Ashbury was the kind of hotel that carried its history like a wound hidden under silk. The lobby gleamed with polished marble, heavy brass chandeliers, and velvet drapes, but the air held something else beneath the lemon polish, something stale, metallic, almost like blood left too long in water. The desk clerk was young, her posture rehearsed, but when she slid my keycard across the counter her hand trembled. A quick flicker, her eyes darted to the number printed on the sleeve, then back to me. "Are you sure this room is fine?" she asked, the words too casual, too quick. I glanced down. "Room 616. I smirked. "Why? Is it haunted?" Her lips curved into the kind of smile people wear at funerals. She didn't answer. Just lowered her gaze, as though she'd already said too much. Behind me, a porter wheeled an empty luggage cart past, humming under his breath. The tune faltered when he saw my keycard. He kept walking, a little too fast. I should have asked. But instead, I pocketed the card and told myself ghost stories were for children. The elevator ride was smooth until the 6th floor, when it shuddered once, faint but noticeable, before the doors creaked open. I stepped into silence so thick it seemed alive. The air felt different, warmer, heavier, as if the ventilation didn't reach this far. I stood still for a moment, waiting for the ordinary sounds of a hotel, distant laughter, a TV murmuring, footsteps on carpet. Nothing came. The corridor stretched long and narrow, the lamps fixed to the walls glowing with a dull golden hue. Their light didn't brighten so much as stain the hall, leaving shadows clinging stubbornly to the corners. Every door looked the same, mahogany with polished brass numbers, except the one at the very end. 616. Its plaque was darker, as if it had been replaced or scrubbed too often, the brass dulled compared to the rest. As I walked, the carpet muffled my steps, yet I swore I heard another set of footfalls, soft, trailing me at a distance. Each time I stopped, the echo stopped too. Inside, the room smelled faintly of old perfume, the kind that lingers on the clothes of the dead. At first glance, it was ordinary enough. King-sized bed, beige wallpaper curling faintly at the edges, the steady hum of air conditioning that never seemed to reach the corners. But then my eyes caught it. The mirror. It filled the wall directly opposite the bed, too large, too deliberate. Its glass seemed to ripple faintly, as though water lay just beneath the surface. I stepped closer, and for the briefest moment, my reflection didn't move with me. It lagged a fraction of a second, its smile not quite mine. My stomach tightened, but I forced a laugh. Old hotels. Old glass. Nothing more. And yet, as I lay down that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that the mirror wasn't reflecting me at all, but watching. Sleep came in fragments, shallow and restless. Every time I closed my eyes, I half expected the mirror to ripple. At 2 a.m., I woke without reason, no alarm, no sound. Just an abrupt, unnatural alertness, as if something had tugged me back from sleep. That's when I heard it. A woman's laugh. Soft. Muffled. Like someone pressing their face into a pillow to keep quiet. Then, seconds later, a man's chuckle. Deeper. Paired with hers. It repeated. Over and over. The same rhythm, the same pitch. Not like conversation. More like rehearsal. I pressed my ear against the adjoining wall. Silence. I checked the hallway. Empty, still, airless. When I returned, the laughter hadn't stopped. It had moved closer. Now it came from the bed. From the mirror. I looked up. And my chest turned to ice. The reflection didn't show me anymore. Instead, the bed in the glass was occupied. Two figures, pale as candle wax, faceless but grinning mouths stretched impossibly wide. Their bodies jerked and convulsed with the force of laughter, throats pulsing as though they were choking on it. Yet the room around me was empty. My bed was bare. Then the sound changed. It burst through the glass, full and alive, laughter so loud it filled my skull, a chorus of hysterics that bent the air. It wasn't human anymore. It was the shrieking mirth of something that found suffering funny. The walls pulsed with it. My teeth buzzed with it. I stumbled forward, grabbed the blanket, and flung it over the mirror. The laughter dulled, but it didn't stop. It bled through the fabric, muffled but constant, seeping into the room until dawn. By then, I was sitting in the corner with my hands over my ears, rocking, praying for silence that never came. When morning finally broke, the blanket still hung limp over the mirror, but the laughter was gone. The silence returned, heavy and suffocating. I didn't even shower. I stuffed my things into my bag and left, refusing to look at the covered glass one more time. At the front desk, I dropped the keycard onto the counter. My voice was hoarse. "That room isn't right." The receptionist didn't flinch. She just nodded, as if she'd heard it all before. "Did they keep you up all night again?" Her phrasing chilled me, the casual they. I stared at her, waiting for an explanation, but she lowered her gaze and busied herself with papers that didn't need shuffling. No apology. No excuse. Just a dismissal, as though what I'd endured was a routine inconvenience, like noisy plumbing or a broken light bulb. I didn't answer. Couldn't. My throat locked tight. I just turned and left the Grand Ashbury, vowing never to step foot on the 6th floor again. And yet, as the door slid open to the street, I could swear I still heard it. A woman's faint giggle trailing after me. I told my friends everything. The silence in the hall. The warped mirror. The faceless bodies writhing in laughter. How the sound didn't stop until dawn. They laughed. Of course they laughed. Every old hotel's got a ghost story, one scoffed. Place is probably cashing in on it, another smirked. Next time we're in town, we'll book it ourselves, a third said. We'll prove it's just in your head. I wanted to snap, to shake them and make them understand. But what could I say? It's real, because I almost lost my mind there. Instead, I just muttered, "You don't understand. I'll never stay in that room again." They rolled their eyes, called me dramatic. But behind their laughter, I noticed something else. A flicker of eagerness. Curiosity. They wanted to see it for themselves. Months later, they did. 3 of them booked 616. They treated it like a dare, like some drunken game. Took selfies in the lobby, grinning with their keycard, tagging me in their posts. The next day, they came back pale, eyes sunken, their joking gone. Each one swore their experience was different, worse than mine. The first told me he woke in the middle of the night unable to breathe. He thought it was sleep paralysis until he realized it wasn't his own weight holding him down. It was hands. Dozens of them. Cold, heavy hands pressing against his chest, his throat, his legs. He said he felt fingernails dig into his skin, though nothing marked him in the morning. The whole time, he swore he could hear wet, stifled laughter against his ear. The second said the lights went out at midnight. Not just the lamps, everything. Even the glow from his phone, even the red dot from the smoke alarm. A darkness so thick it was suffocating, darker than blindness. In that pitch black, voices whispered his name over and over, each one closer than the last, circling him, crawling into his head. He said he couldn't move, couldn't scream, only sit there while invisible mouths breathed his own name into his ears until he thought he'd lose his sanity. The third, his voice shook the worst. He said he never slept at all. He spent the whole night staring at the corner of the room, because I was standing there. Me. He swore I stood with my head bent at an impossible angle, my teeth bared in a grin that stretched wider and wider every time he blinked. I never moved. Never spoke. Just watched. And when dawn finally came, he said my reflection stayed in the mirror a little too long before it faded away. None of them laughed afterward. None of them joked about ghost stories again. And when I asked if they'd ever book 616 again, they all answered the same way I did. Never. I never booked room 616 again. I never even set foot on the 6th floor. And to my surprise, life went back to normal. No whispers in the dark, no laughter in mirrors. I thought I'd escaped. But the stories didn't stop with me. Word spread about the room. At first, just whispers among travelers, the kind of thing shared over drinks or posted online late at night. Then newspapers picked it up. The infamous room 616 of the Grand Ashbury. People started booking it on purpose. Thrill seekers, ghost hunters, couples daring each other to last a night. And each one came away with a different story. Hands holding them down. Whispers in the dark. A figure watching from the corner. No two accounts ever the same, except for the laughter. Always the laughter. The hotel didn't fight the rumors. They leaned into it. Raised the room rate. Gave tours of the 6th floor. Soon, it was their biggest draw. Then a television crew arrived, a paranormal reality show. They stayed 3 nights, cameras rolling the entire time. The footage aired a month later. Viewers swore they heard things in the background, saw shapes in the mirrors the crew never acknowledged. The show's ratings broke records. The Grand Ashbury became famous. A destination. A legend. People laughed at the idea of ghosts but still lined up for a chance at the room. I stayed away. I'd had my glimpse, and that was enough. But sometimes, late at night, I'll scroll past articles or TV promos, and there it is again. Room 616. The mirror. The laughter. Everyone treats it like a story, a spectacle, a piece of entertainment. But I know better. Because once you've heard that laughter up close, you don't mistake it for entertainment. It isn't a show. It's an invitation.